Greetings to everybody. This is Pastor Roman Uglif from Russia with you, the church and the tabernacle of the end times. I want to share with you some of the thoughts I've got from the scripture, reading the Genesis, and let us open the text first. As I said, this is book of Genesis, chapter 4, and I will read to you from the verse 1. Adam lay with his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man." Later she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord, but Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Okay, here is the story, and I want to share with you what I see in here, what kind of the thoughts I've got from the scripture, reading that portion of the scripture. So here I see that when Eve conceived and she brought forth Cain, I want to show you what I see in the Hebrew text here. So the word Cain, here it is. Let me just take it over here. Come on. The word Cain here, if you see, and the word T, actually, these are two words, the root is the same. The word Cain, the name Cain means the gain, actually the precious gain. So she said, I gained man from the Lord. So this is his name, the same root. So what about Abel? Here's the word Abel or Havel, and I will show you what this word means. Here it is. So you see the Havel actually means steam or vapor, or I would say nothing. So what does that mean? Imagine this too. I mean, she thought that the firstborn, or the Cain, was the real gain from the Lord. And what about Abel? When she bore him, she was really not sure about what is this child for? What for I have gave birth to this one? And so this is what is expressed in that name, steam or vapor or nothing, actually nothing. This is the meaning of his name. So imagine this too, when, for example, she is making a breakfast and she's saying, okay, the precious gay, come here to have a breakfast. Well, and you, steam, or you, nothing, you, vapor, you may come too. So can you just imagine how these the two children were growing. Now, there are some other details I want to show you here. When we see the scripture, we see that they were really different in their occupation. So in the verse 3, we see that, in the verse 2, we see that Abel kept flocks and Cain worked the soil. Now I have a question. What for the Abel was keeping flock? I mean, as far as I know, at that point, they were not eating meat. We see when the Noah came out of the ark with his sons. So at that point, God gave them the command to eat flesh. And from that point on, they started to eat meat. But here, I don't think, because the command we see, which was given to them in the first chapter of Genesis, that God gave them the command to eat fruits of the trees and different seeds, but not the meat. So I don't think here they were eating meat. So definitely those sheep, they were not for to having flesh and meat for food. And I believe that there was enough of fruits. Well, they were thrown away from the from the garden of the Eden, but it doesn't mean that the earth around them was like a wilderness. Of course not. It was full of different kind of trees with all kind of fruits. I mean, even now when we go to some tropical places, there are a lot of fruits there, and it's impossible to die from hunger at those places. So, and here I believe the whole earth was like that. It was just absolutely wonderful. Well, it was not the same as the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was a special place. It was their home. They wanted to go there, and I'll speak further about it. But the whole earth was full of fruits. So definitely those sheep were not for food. And I have another question. What for Cain was really working on the soil? I mean, not to make more fruits, because there were enough fruit for all of them. There were just four. Well, I must say that at that point, they could have some more children, and they were sisters, of course, because later on we read that Cain took his wife, so it was one of the sisters, the daughters of Adam and Eve. But at that point, still, there were not so many, few of them on the earth, and I believe a lot of fruits were there, and they were not able to get hungry at all. So he was not working on the soil to make more fruits. Now, the question, what for them? And I believe that we see it in their names. I mean, when Eve says that he's a gain, or the precious gain, I would say, that he was really thinking about self, that he's the one who is going to be the seed. He is the promise. He is the one about whom the Lord said that the seed of the woman will crush the head of the serpent. And so I believe that Eve, this is the reason why she gave him such a name. So he was Cain, he was a gain, and he thought that he's going to be the first one. He's going to be the deliverer. He's going to be the one who will bring back the whole humanity to the Garden of Eden. And so with that thought, he grew. But his brother, his name was actually nothing, steam, vapor, a breath. And so he didn't know what he is for. Because I believe that the parents of Cain, they told Cain that this is his destiny, this is his calling, to grow up and to become strong and to crush the serpent's head. But what about Abel? He was always in the shadow of his brother, and he was the youngest one. He was nothing, and he wanted to know. And so if we look at the sheep as that in the third chapter of Genesis, the Lord gave an example of bringing a sacrifice of blood, and he dressed them in leather clothes. So it was the example. And Abel, he was keeping those sheep to make it for sure that if there will be not enough sacrifice, if one will be not enough, he will have enough to bring another one. But to know what he is for, why he was born on that earth, what is his calling and destination. His brother, well, with him everything is clear. He will grow up and he will be strong and he will deliver them, save them from that existence, and they'll come back to the Garden of Eden. But what he is for, and how, so he was really thinking, and I believe this is why he was keeping his flock. But Cain, I believe he was really thinking him already there in the Garden of Eden, because this is the only place we can see the working on the soil. God gave the command to the first man, Adam, that he's going to keep and work on the soil and keep the Garden of Eden in order. So it was his job. And so Cain is thinking about himself, that what he's going to do. He's going to do what he must do to work on the soil as his father did when he was there, back there in the Garden of Eden. And so now these two came to the point when they have to come to the Lord by themselves. And Cain, well, he's quite sure about himself. He is the one, he's the deliverer. He is the savior. he will bring back the humanity. So he must be accepted. So he was kind of proud about himself. Well, and I believe with that kind of a pride, he looked at his younger brother. But Abel, he came with a sincere and humble heart to know. And it was a sacrifice of faith. He wanted to know his destiny. And so when God looked with favor at the sacrificium of Abel and didn't pay attention to the sacrifice or the fruits of the Cain, I can see the difference of these two faces. The face of Abel, I believe, it shined like a sun, but the face of Cain was full of darkness. And so we know what came short after. The pride of Cain made him to kill his brother because his flesh, he's thinking about himself, that he know how to solve that, how to make a decision, how to find the way out. Well, if there will be no Abel, for God, there will be no way to accept him. He must accept me. I am the one. So maybe not. I'm just sharing with the thoughts. I'm not making out of that some kind of a teaching. I'm just sharing those thoughts I have when I read this portion of a scripture. So, well, the issue out of all of this can be this. What is the heart we have when we come to the Lord? The heart of the Pharisee, who was proud enough about himself, saying that I'm good enough, Lord, before you. Or the humble heart as of the Abel, sincere desire to know what we are, who we are, and what we are for here. What is our mission on this earth? Desire that we need him, need the Lord to tell us what to do. So let us consider to our hearts, and I pray for myself, for you, and all the church of the end times to really know who we are in the Lord. Thank you very much for listening. I think I'll finish here. It was Pastor Roman Uglif from Russia with you, Church and the Tabernacle of the End Times. Let God bless you.